Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Spotlight. Today is probably one of my proudest moments. I'm proud to introduce Vinnie Cataldo, who reached out to me expressing an interest in the podcast, which is a big moment for the show. For the viewers at home, Vinnie, you want to introduce yourself, and I guess what are the most important things you want people to know about you, just right off the get-go?
Yeah, so I'm Vinnie Cataldo. I think a few things about me are I do stuff for Sub here on campus. I'm not really like exec member yet, but I just do stuff. I help out probably like the most. I'm not at the top yet with one of the guys there, but I'm working my way up. I'm also part of the bowling team here on campus. I was part of travel team for a while and never went on any of the meets though, but I guess I'm still part of the team. But and yeah, I love collecting autographs. I love lost media. I love listening to music, stuff like that. Just kind of can describe me.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. I was interested. How into bowling are you? And like, where does that start? Because you and Adam are both bowlers.
Yeah. So it kind of started when I think it was a long time ago. I think it was like 6th grade, because back at my middle school, there was one time out of the year where we would go to the bowling alley that was near our school, and we'd bowl 2 games. And I got really into that. So there'd be times like when my family would come in and we'd go out bowling, and that kind of got me like more into it. So like the second that I got into high school, the first thing I did was sign up for the bowling team.
I think you're like 30 years too young to be doing to be bowling. So if you don't mind me asking, what do you average like in the lanes
on a good day?
Yeah.
My average right now, I'm trying to shoot at 150, but I think right now it's in like the 140s. But I mean,
that's still like consistently bowling more than an 80 is pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome for sure.
Yeah. I mean, even still, you got to think about like the kind of people who are on the travel team. Like, there's people out there who are averaging over 200, and I look at them like, what do you do? Like,
yeah.
can you teach me this kind of stuff?
Teach me, show me. I don't know.
Show me the ways.
Yeah, I've never understood. Bowling has just been one of those things where it's like, it's kind of one of those sports, same with like ping pong and pool, where before you start, you have to state how long it's been since you've last done the sport. So before you get in the lane, it's like, oh, it's been months since I've bowled, guys. So don't expect too much from me.
Even if you haven't bowled for like months, the second you get back out there and throw, it just becomes like muscle memory at that point. You just remember like how to do it all.
It's such a unpursued avenue for me. I think every bowling game, what I do is like I'll bowl for real for the first 5, and then I get ashamed with how my real shots are going, and I just start doing trick shots, and then somehow bowl better doing that than when I'm normally bowling.
Yeah.
So it's it looks cool when you do it. So
yeah, it's like when we have the club days, the biggest thing is like there are people like who will bowl like next to us that have no idea what they're doing, and they'll just like go like between the legs and like go like backwards. And we look at them like, what?
Yeah. Do they ever like have a better score than you guys like while they're doing stuff like that?
I think there was an instance once where like somebody got like a better score than like a majority of the guys on travel, and we looked at that like we need to step up our game.
Yeah, we need to work on our bowling thing. But yeah, the bowling thing's interesting just because it's not as familiar. But you mentioned the autograph collecting. That is very interesting. So what is that? How does that start? And like, where are you in that?
So basically, like autograph collecting is like, I'm not one to like go out and like go like to say like Stevens Auditorium or Hilton if like a band comes and like sit out by the buses, because it's like we've gotten to this point now where like the people like who get like autographs like from them, the people who sign realize that the autographs are not going to like somebody who is like who wants them. They're going to eBay.
Yeah, yep, just to sell his money.
Yeah, and and there was an instance, Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters, there was a video out there that he made, or like that somebody shot, where a bunch of people are like hounding him for an autograph, and he's just politely saying, I'm not signing anything unless you have something for charity. And people keep saying, I got nothing, but can you just sign this? And like, he gets to the point where he's like, here's the other thing. Bye. It just takes off because he's like, I'm not going to deal with y'all anymore. And it's like, and there's also like so many other videos out there of just celebrities like, I'm not signing this because I know where it's going and it's not going to the right place.
Mm-hmm. And so how do you differentiate yourself from like other people who are getting autographs? Like, how do you come off as a person that like genuinely just wants this?
I feel like because it's like so like there was a time where I got when I met the band Steel Panther. It was in Des Moines, and I stood out by the buses, but they could see that when they walked off, and I was like, I got giddy because it's like they could see that I'm a true fan, and it's like I'm just like, hey, can I get a quick autograph? And they were like right then and there, yeah, sure. So I got a whole band autograph just right then and there, and they could see like because like I feel like you could tell when somebody's like a genuine fan. Like you feel like you just see like they get like starstruck, they get like they get tense and stuff like that. But when it's like people like the autograph like hounders, they don't seem like interested at all. It's more the thing where it's just like they will just like walk.
They wait in line and hand it over, and then
oh yeah, and like there, but like there's like many instances like I see out there with like celebrities who are still cool to like sign stuff, but like it's in like the big crowds, and it's like you have like a 1 in like 600 chance of getting something signed at that point.
So how many autographs do you have, and where do you want to go? Where have you been? I mean,
the amount of autographs I have is like extremely tough to count at this point because my whole room is covered. Like everything on my wall is something that's autographed. Whether that's like, I have a menu from an old restaurant in Des Moines that was signed by an old Cubs player. And that's probably one of the weirdest things that I own because it's like.
You just saw him there and then you were like, quick, sign this?
Well, actually, I believe it was my dad or my grandpa that got it signed because like I was probably at the time like 4. So like I had no idea what that was at the time. But I just remember like we were looking through some old junk and I pulled out a menu from this old place and I'm like, whose signature is that? And my dad's like, that's this guy. I can't remember his name to be honest.
Dude, well, that was your autograph origin story.
I feel like it was, but then there was a time also where it was like, so my dad was the one that kind of got me into autograph collecting because his office is covered in like autograph stuff. So like he had gotten a few stuff signed or like that he like bought off of like websites. And then it kind of like made me see, oh, well, this is kind of cool. It's kind of cool to own something from a band or like artist that probably won't be around for much longer. So why not get into it? So the first thing I bought was a band, Bowling for Soup. It was like a poster signed by them. So that was like the first thing that I got. And I think that might have been my origin.
Is when you finally got that Phineas and Ferb type poster. We'll talk about Bowling for Soup in a minute, but what are some of the like proudest autographs and like how did you get them? Do you have any interesting stories on like other than the handed down random restaurant menu?
So I think I can name like 3 right off the bat. So the first one that is I'm like most proud of is probably my Greta Van Fleet signed album because Greta Van Fleet's my like all-time favorite band, and I was scrounging everywhere on eBay and all over the internet for an album, and like they're going for like thousands of dollars. But there was just one day that I looked, and like literally out there on eBay, $100 signed album by them from Germany, and this is around the time that they had just gotten back from their European tour. So I was like, oh, shoot, I got to copy it. So I bought it. And then like a few weeks later, like, because like I was like looking at it, like, I have a little bit of doubts to this. But then I brought it to like one of the like most reputable like authentication companies and they passed it off as legit. So I was like, I just got this for $100 and it probably could resell for like $2,000.
That's insane. That's if you were one of those people that was. You could make this a business. You know?
Yeah.
If you're one of those people that was trying to flip it. How much? If you were to sell all of your autographed things, how much money do you think your collection's worth?
Oh my!
You're just lowballing.
There's a lot of stuff in there too. Like I have a Slipknot poster that's signed by all original 9 members, also authenticated by the top authentication autograph company. So like, there's just stuff in there.
How'd you get that one? Did you buy that one or?
Yeah, I bought. So this guy that I know who lives in Des Moines, he goes and gets stuff signed, and he knows like people who can also like get stuff. So I'm in contact with him. I'm like, you got anything signed by all original 9 members? He's like, got this, $200. Resale value on it that I got authenticated, $1,000.
You could retire.
I mean, literally, I could just quit school and just become one of those people. But like, honestly, if I were to sell everything in my collection, I could probably reasonably get maybe about 10 grand.
That's insane.
I know it's so weird to think like something that started as just like a hobby of me just like buying the stuff is could probably flip if I'm ever in like dire need. Just like
well, and it's only gonna increase as time goes on too.
Oh,
like
yeah,
the value,
absolutely.
you know what I mean? So,
because even still, like with the Slipknot original 9, 2 members are dead. So at that point, it's like you can't access them anymore. So like their signatures are becoming more rare.
Which is a weird, a weird moral concept to talk about, like wishing the death upon band members so that your autograph is worth more. Just some like crazy things like that when people selling them. Dude, that's so cool. What are some of the other ones that you've?
Man, I gotta think. So I have about 6 autographed Bowling for Soup posters. I've got one of my other favorite bands, Shinedown. I have an album of theirs that was fully signed that I actually got from the merch table. So I mean, like, you can't get any more like legit than that.
Yeah, you bought it from them.
Yeah, exactly. I have a Dude Perfect autograph poster.
Did you buy that?
Yeah, it's on their website.
That's awesome.
Which it's like super cheap too. It was like $60. I'm like, they have 50 million right now on YouTube. How's their stuff not selling for like?
Dude, I don't know.
hundreds?
They have to like mass produce that kind of stuff if they're gonna do that. I always wonder. So does a majority of your autograph stuff come from like you scrounging the internet and buying it online, or does it come from like you actually being at a place where they're selling that kind of stuff?
It's mainly just from like online, and like they always say like never trust the people online. But at that point, it's like if they're not going to sell it at their merch table and it's impossible to get, you just gotta kind of you just kind of gotta go for it, basically.
If it's something that you're interested in, just take the shot. I mean, yeah. Well, do you have any other ones that?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because for me, I have one autograph thing. Well, technically 2, because my buddy Luke sent me, or for my birthday, he got me. We were just talking about Tenacious D. He got me the. It's a book from one of their albums, Post Apocalypto. Like the hour-long YouTube video.
Yes.
They put every shot of that into a comic book.
And it's autographed?
And it has the certificate in there, like, this is official. So they sent me one, but it was damaged. So they sent me another one. So now I have 2 autographed books by Jack Black and Kyle.
Yeah, I have actually their CD. Because when that came out, they sold like a ton of, like, bands will do that where they sell like CDs autographed. I don't know why, but like, hey, I'll take it. So I got that one off their website. And funny thing, oh my God, I'm trying to like figure this out. So I think if I know my family tree well, my grandpa's brother's wife knows Jack Black personally.
What? How?
Because she went to school with his mom.
That is the craziest thing.
Yeah, exactly. So like literally like when they played up in Cedar Rapids last year.
They just got tickets?
Well,
or like
not
like
just
free?
tickets, backstage. My cousins got to meet Jack Black.
Dude, what I would give. He's such a character. Like everything that he does is so like, what on earth with this like Jablinski, if you remember that era of like, what is this? This guy's just completing all the side quests.
This man literally is like a child trapped in a grown man's body. The stuff that he's still doing is just so childish, but you can't help but just smile.
I know. Also, such an incredible singer.
Don't even get me started, man.
Incredible singer.
Don't even get me started.
His voice is so. I'm a huge Tenacious D fan.
Yeah.
His voice is so gorgeous, and they had Dave Grohl on most of the Tenacious D album,
or
most of the
movie.
One of them.
Don't forget about the movie.
Yeah.
He played the devil, which even like then, like I don't know how people like were able to figure that out that it was Dave Grohl, because we put so much makeup on him that it was like you couldn't even tell who it was.
I think maybe just word gets out and then everyone's so excited that Dave Grohl is in a band with Jack Black where they're singing the most ridiculous songs you've ever heard. Yeah. And then they had Dio at the beginning of that movie too, singing songs, and that movie's hilarious, but just that whole concept of a band has to be one of the most like he put a silencer on that voice. Even though he sings in every movie that he's in, like he just does a little bit. Like in Nacho Libre, he just busts out like a guitar song for no reason. And it's just like he sings in every movie he can. But
I also feel like School of Rock was not him acting. It was just Jack Black being Jack Black. It was just all like ad-libbed by him. Like, which actually like makes it like just so much more funny that like how much he put into that role and how much that movie like
skyrocketed his career. I mean,
exactly.
It was a good jumping point.
It was like just everything about that movie is just who Jack Black is, which I find hilarious.
And that's why the Pick of Destiny is so funny, because it's Jack Black's band, played by Jack Black, written by Jack Black, to show you the origin story of Jack Black. Yeah. So every, like, the penis push-ups, like, everything is like, this is what I want to represent me. You know, it's such a funny concept when you watch it and you're like, he wrote that to express to people, this is who Jack Black is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's such a funny concept for a thing, but yeah, that's the only autograph stuff that I have. I've been trying to. Do you know who Ninja Sex Party is?
I've heard of them actually.
Yeah, the Game Grumps. They like Danny and whatnot. They're YouTubers, but I've been trying to get. They always do a CD signing. Like every time they release an album, they'll do the send out signed CDs of whatever album they do, and then I've been trying to get one of those. I haven't had the cash to justify, but I'm kind of starting a CD collection, so I'm like, okay, this would be awesome to have like a signed CD by him.
Yeah.
But no, the autograph thing is really cool. So what are there any big ticket items that you're kind of looking for? Are there big pieces that you're wanting?
Oh man. So right now, one of my other biggest autograph things that I own is a sketch of Kyle from South Park that is signed by Trey Parker, the creator. However, I want one that's both Trey Parker and Matt Stone. But the problem is that they're so rare to get that it's like it's just everything you can find is worth like $1,000, and it's like I have no money for.
How did you get that?
My dad actually got it for me for Christmas. So I was looking at a piece. There's this website called Pristine Auction, and they will sell like completely like legit like just autograph stuff. One of the things on there was Trey Parker's signed sketch. And I was like, oh my God, this would be amazing. My dad's like, it's going to go for way too much. I'm not going to get it for you. And I was pissed. So then come Christmas Day, I get a heavy box, open it up, and like custom framed is that picture.
Dang, how much did he pay for that?
He ended up telling me he paid like $300.
Dude, I mean, that's so cool though.
But like, think about it. Something signed by one of the guys who made probably the greatest animated show of all time, probably behind The Simpsons at least, going for $300, like, and it's authenticated, like, you can't get any better
And again,
than that.
only with time. You know, it only will increase in value.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I find myself rewatching the entirety of South Park via TikTok now, because that's on my Wii pages. So the show is incredible. It's such a good.
My resume is literally like I will keep HBO Max on and just binge South Park over and over again. I've seen the series now probably like 8 times.
It's so fantastic. And the way they write it too.
6 days just to make an episode.
I know.
But the best part about that is simply just like, with it being 6 days, like they can cover topics like that.
The day that it comes out, you know, like the week. That's what I love about it so much is that they're like hounds looking for the next like big, next funny thing to make fun of. And the creative process that goes into that show is just beyond me.
It's amazing.
It's just absolutely beyond me. The show's incredible.
It is amazing.
Show's incredible. Yeah, and you know, you say it's one of the greatest. I'd probably agree that it's one of the best animated shows. It's so cringe, but I love Rick and Morty. I think it's a really good show.
Okay, see, I never got into Rick and Morty. I'm like, it's just I'm not like, okay. So the biggest thing for me is like I give it credit for what it is. But I just never got into it. I'm not like the sci-fi guy. I give credit to Justin Roiland even now, what he has done. But like even still beforehand, like the stuff that he was doing with that show was incredible.
It's just like writing genius. Like you don't even have to care about the show to be like, okay, the concept for this episode is insane. Like it's such, just the whole thing is just destroying your mind. I mean, it's the concepts, you couldn't write it better. You know, some of them are so insane. I really encourage you watch, you know, at least some of it, because there are some episodes that are just like conceptually the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Like they really go above and beyond to make sure that most episodes are cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there are some that are garbage, but in general, it's a really, really good show, and it cringes me to say that.
Yeah, like I said, I give it credit. Like, if people like it, then that's awesome. But like, just me personally, like, I just never got into it. But like you said, I could probably pull up a few episodes and like have a good laugh at them, just because what Justin Roiland does with Rick and Morty is just brilliant writing. And it's like what other like animated shows do. It's just brilliant writing to capture like what you feel at that moment.
Yeah. And just conceptually, I don't know how they come up with that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, are you a big TV show guy? I know you're a big movie guy, but are you a big TV show guy?
Yeah, in terms of like, are you talking like television or like streaming service now?
You know, streaming service now. I don't think anyone's talking about television anymore.
Yeah, I'm kind of big into like the TV stuff. I mean, like my biggest go-to show right now, besides South Park, I'm trying to finish Breaking Bad, but like the biggest thing is just like, it's just kind of getting to that point where I'm like, it's just not getting like interesting. Like, I mean, like, and everybody's like, you got to make it past season 4. You got to make it past season. I'm like, I'm trying.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to justify a show when it's like it gets good. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And the way that I've described Breaking Bad is that it's like you're watching the most beautiful flower grow. I mean, something that would melt your eyes when you saw it. But you start one of the seeds in the ground, and you're watching grass grow. I mean, like it's literally the epitome of like. The point of it is to look back on the final episodes, which I think the final 3 episodes are the greatest 3 episodes of television history.
Really?
Like, period. But you only get that when you watch the whole show. And so it sucks so much to be like, hey, watch the whole show.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
But then
story writing.
You get like the surprise in at the end.
Yeah, well, it's not even surprise. It's just like, you just wake up. You finish it and you're like, none of these characters even look like they did at the beginning, let alone act like they did at the beginning. I mean, the journey is so subtle and it's so long, and the only way that they can convey that is by boring you.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? With how slow and subtle it is. But when you get to the end, you're like, I can't believe that was an experience. I mean, I lived with these guys for 5 seasons.
Yeah.
I didn't watch a show. I mean, like, I was there.
What I like so much about Breaking Bad is like it's not like a steady camera angle. It's like camera movement that makes you feel like you're there with them.
Well, my favorite thing is like they just don't let up.
Oh,
like,
no.
You will watch a 15-minute conversation. Like you're literally like watching 15 minutes of just I don't know where you are in the season, but where are you in the show?
I'm like at the middle right now, like of season 4.
Oh, okay. So like the scene where they have the talking pillow and they're walking around and they're trying to convince Walt to get the surgery.
Yeah, so like in the beginning.
Yeah, that's a 15-minute long scene.
But it doesn't feel like
But it doesn't feel like that. But like they really bring you through the ringer and like all of the awkwardness, all of the speech that wouldn't exist normally. I mean, like they would cut out the show and try to get this streamlined product. But it's like no, these are just like people, and they're gonna make you live his life for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And also near the beginning when he has to decide whether or not to kill the dude trapped in the basement with the bike lock around his neck. And he has to decide.
Yes.
That conversation is like 10 minutes long. And it's literally just like, do I kill you?
It's just one of those things where like you don't realize like the passage of time because you're so caught up in the moment that it's like you don't realize how much time is actually passing with the conversation.
And it's only at the end which is why I'd encourage you to finish the show, as probably every human has ever told you, watch Breaking Bad. But like I encourage you to watch the end of the show and then just watch the first 2 episodes again. And then it's so bizarre how different people can be beginning to end of the show. It's a really awesome show. I won't talk. Everybody in the world has talked about how amazing
Everybody
Breaking
in their
Bad
mother
is.
has. Oh my gosh.
So I don't need to say. I'm not bringing any new information to the show.
Right.
Just watch it. Who's not talking about a great piece of work? The Whale, which also does what I think we both appreciate in that like. The movie takes place in one room.
Location. The thing I also love about the movie, in my opinion, is just the lack of music because it just feels so real. That like even like you just feel like you're there with them. Like you feel Charlie's pain like as he's like dying basically.
Yeah.
And then like in the ending when like all the stuff happens, like you're just so overcome with like I've said this before, I don't cry in movies. But that movie just made me sob.
Dude, that's a hard movie.
It is.
It is so good. The Brendan Fraser's acting.
Oh my
and
gosh.
This is something that I've talked to people about. I think what frustrates me when people talk about acting is that they'll be like the greatest acting of all time. And they always go to like scenes where a person is crying or yelling. The biggest example is Prisoners. When, if you've seen that movie, like there's that scene where he's like screaming and he's hitting a hammer on a wall and he's like, "Where's my daughter?" And it's like, this is such insane acting. It's like, not to downplay, that is amazing acting.
Oh yeah.
But what I think is much better is acting like the Joker. Everyone talks about the Joker in the Dark Knight series.
Heath Ledger?
Yeah, Heath Ledger. Everyone talks about his acting because it's about consistency and it's about making normal scenes seem real.
Well, like I remember when so one of the times that I was talking like in one of my classes in high school, we learned it was health class. We did we did like reports about like famous people and like their deaths, which many of them were attributed to drug overdoses. I found out in the interrogation scene in The Dark Knight when Heath Ledger is there and like Batman is like actually like those are real punches. He was so like completely screwed on all of, like the drugs that he wanted to make it like as real as possible. And like he just said, like, I don't know like who said this, but like they just said like he was not fazed. Like he just kept saying, punch me, do it.
Jeez, he's like a real psychopath in real life.
Yes.
Dang, I did not know that. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the kind of acting that's like big moments. And so The Whale, everyone talks about that scene where he's like, I want to know that I did one thing right in my, everyone talks about that scene. But what's more impressive to me is, well, one, the entire movie is acting, but like, how normal just the normal conversations, how real it seemed when he's talking to his daughter, and like his reactions to things are so real and so like quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But his nurse, I just didn't feel that as much.
Yeah, well, like I feel like she tried kind of too hard, but even still, like she gave like a good performance. But like the thing that hit me the most was just like how much shit everybody gives him throughout the entire movie. But yet he's still like, even like Sadie Sink, who played probably the greatest role ever, just giving him shit, and the entire time he's just like, you're an amazing daughter, you're amazing, you're beautiful. Like this essay it's just like, it shows that like no matter what, he just wants to show people that they have great things in their lives. And I feel like that's just what what Brendan Fraser captured, and Darren Aronofsky, what he like wanted to show through this movie was that like, even if like you're the shittiest person ever, you still have amazing like qualities about your life.
You have value.
Exactly.
And how do you feel about like that thematically, and then with like the subject being of like overweight, and like, or I guess like the surface level being like being overweight, and that's kind of what being overweight and the things that he did in his life. Like, I think there's a lot of controversy when it comes to this movie, and the reason why a lot of people are turning it off is because...
yeah, and like it was funny because like this movie garnered a lot of controversy because like they were saying it's fat phobic, it promotes like, it just like, and like they were saying like, Brendan Fraser's able to take off this suit, but other people who weigh 600 pounds aren't, and it's offensive to them. I just look at it like, I'm a big guy. I don't care. This movie encapsulates like what big people go through. And I just think it's just what the message is that counts. I don't care about if it's fat phobic, if it's this. I don't care. If it's a good movie, it's fine.
Yeah, and I think the people who are looking deep at this movie and just seeing like the fat phobia aren't actually seeing, like, the message is to say you can be like this and you still have good things about you.
You can be
and like look past this surface.
You could be like 600 pounds, but it all is what matters inside.
Yeah,
that's what matters. Because if you're like, even if like you're like 100 pounds, but you're a piece of shit, you're not going to get it through. You could weigh 600 pounds, but have the best heart of anybody. That's when it matters. And
I think why I like that movie so much is because you can kind of go too far on this end and start like promoting unhealthiness and start promoting like, things that aren't necessarily accurate. But this movie did a really good job of like, yes, this weight is dangerous and like it's unhealthy and it's going to kill you and it's going to cause people in your life to, really try to help you on that. But also you are an incredible person and like people need to see that. And so I thought that it really towed a really awesome line of like, hey, we're not promoting this. Yeah. But we're saying, you can be a beautiful person, despite maybe things that you've done.
Exactly. And like a thing that I found like the best about it was that, so at the ending, which I don't want to spoil anything because I feel like when this comes out, like a lot of people are going to be like, well, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
But like just the last scene and just how it ended and just the credits rolling to just the sound of waves. You're sitting there sobbing, just like,
I just got goosebumps here.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking about
exactly,
it. Yeah.
Right? But it's just like that thing where it's just like, like, it's just like you're sitting there, just like, what the hell has just happened? And like when my sister was the first one to see it, and she told me like she's sobbing the entire time. The second the movie ended, she like dead sprinted out of the movie theater, or out of like theater, went into the bathroom and just sobbed because she's like, I could not be in that room anymore. Because like she said, like it took people like 10 minutes after the credits rolled. So you know how like in like most movies, the credits roll, people move out.
Uh-huh.
People were just so like, what the hell just happened, that they just sat in their seats like, I can't move.
It's an incredible movie.
It is just a good movie, and that's why I'm saying if Brendan Fraser does not win the Oscar, we have a serious problem.
I know, and his speeches were so wholesome and so beautiful. Like after, I don't know if you've seen him on stage, breaking down into tears talking about that movie because it hits very close to home.
Oh yeah,
for his story, and
because like this was his like comeback film.
Mm-hmm. This is because he took a break for like 15 years or 10 years or whatever, and then because of like the divorce and then like drugs and
then he just
overweight,
comes back and just gives us this.
I know, it's actually an incredible movie. I'd equate it to Interstellar if you've seen that movie.
I've heard people actually give that like comparison as well.
Yeah, because have you seen Interstellar?
I actually have not.
Please watch that.
Is that okay? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the Matt Damon movie?
That's Martian.
Okay,
yes,
thank you.
That's also a good movie. I haven't seen that in a while, but no, Interstellar is probably up there. It's equatable to The Whale because it's literally just like the most beautiful story. Will make you bawl your eyes out. It is so aggressively sad.
Who's the lead in that?
Matthew McConaughey.
Okay. So that's where I was like kind of getting confused. I know like McConaughey did one and Matt Damon did one. So I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna like mix them up because I could have sworn for the longest time that The Martian was McConaughey and Interstellar was. But even still, just Matthew McConaughey and Brendan Fraser, two of my favorite actors. Just the way like they play their roles in any movie is just brilliant.
Yeah, they do a really good. I'm telling you, it's hard to even talk about like sad movies if you haven't seen Interstellar. Like you should watch that. Like right after this, just go home and turn it on. It'll make you cry. It makes me cry every time I watch it, even though I've seen it. Really powerful, gorgeous movie.
So you can watch it like over and over again, and it
still hits.
It still hits.
It still hits.
Wow.
And as I grow older and experience the things in life that they're really trying, because it just makes me cry because I know I'm going to experience things like this. When I experience things like this and watch it again, it's going to be even harder to watch. You know, like once I have kids and once I am a father, because the whole movie is mostly about fatherhood.
Yeah.
Like once I have those experiences, it's probably going to be worse. Like it's probably going to make me cry even harder.
Yeah.
So because I haven't experienced it yet. So definitely watch that movie. That's a good recommendation.
Is it on like any streaming services right now?
I think I pirated it or something to watch it. So
I feel like it's probably out there somewhere.
it's definitely out there somewhere. It's one of my top 3 favorite movies of all time.
Awesome.
What are some of your other favorite movies? Because I saw your list, but
man, I gotta remember what I put on the list. This is kind of a guilty pleasure, but do you remember the 2012 Three Stooges movie?
Yeah, the only thing I remember is them shooting the arrow into the air, and then like 14 minutes later,
just go to the foot.
Yeah.
Okay,
that
really
is
good. Honestly like my biggest guilty pleasure because everybody like dismissed that movie as just like
it's
terrible.
The Three Stooges,
but it's just so good. It's like slapstick comedy, and that's just what like I'm a fan of. Like I will go back and watch all the old Three Stooges episodes because it's just so funny. Like I'm a 22-year-old guy, but even I find that slapstick comedy that's made for children to be hilarious.
Yep, this is my daily shout out to Adam, one of my viewers who has not watched this episode this long, but he's one of those people that like farting and falling are the funniest things, and it's just not me. But is that kind of what you're talking about? That it just gets you every time?
Well, it's such stupid comedy, but it works.
It's just done well. That my guilty pleasure comedy movie is Anchorman 2.
Dude. Okay, so the funniest thing, like when I can't remember how old I was. I might have been like 14 at the time, but when did Frozen actually come out? Was that like
2009, 10? Oh, no, later. Sorry,
it might have been like 2013 or something like that.
2013, something like that.
So it was either we all go see Frozen or we all go see Anchorman 2. So what do you think all the girls did and what do you think all the guys did?
Frozen and Anchorman 2.
Yep. And I kid you not, like after every single sentence that was spoken in Anchorman 2, there'd be somebody in the theater that would just laugh.
It's such a funny movie.
And I remember like, so I was like eating popcorn at the time when the truck is flipping. I about choked. Yeah. Because, well, it's just like, it was just one of those things where it's just like, I didn't expect it. And like, I'm like trying to swallow, but at the same time, I'm like, I want to spit it back in there. But like, it was just one of those things where I was just like, I couldn't control it at the time.
It's so good because the movie's identical to the first one.
Oh, yeah.
And it's almost funnier because it's the same movie as the first one.
Yeah.
But somehow it still is just like, I love this. I like the second one much more than the first one.
Oh, God. And everybody will make the comparison that the first one is better than the second. No. I'm going to say it right now. I will look into that camera and say Anchorman 2 was 100% better than Anchorman 1.
Yeah, I completely, just everything about it. I think there is like a dry 20 minutes near the like third quarter.
I feel like the whole lighthouse scene.
It's just so funny, but it's just a lot.
It was just like, it just kind of felt like filler.
Uh-huh.
I mean, like it, and then like the whole like whale, or like not even the whale, the shark thing.
Dobie.
Yeah, Dobie. Like I just kind of felt like that was a little bit like filler. Like it really didn't like do much.
No, it was just filler. But the scene where he's like, I'm blind, that is one of the greatest. Like if I ever take an acting class and we get to choose a scene, a monologue to do, I'm doing that. You're gonna do that one? It's such a good like comedic.
The one that always gets me is after he gets fired and he's like, I forbid it, and she's like, you forbid it? Who do you think you are, Julius Caesar? He just goes, who's Julius Caesar? You know I don't follow the NBA.
That was really. Oh, there's that. I could go on and off. The whole movie's so good.
Brick's funeral scene will forever
butter.
It's just when he's like, I didn't know how to respond. None of us understand you, Brick. I feel like I saw him yesterday. You're probably talking to yourself in a mirror.
I think a good impression of Brick when he's doing that also.
Either that or when he's like, I will not rest until I find his killer. And Cooper's like,
I will not rest until I find his killer.
He's like, his killer.
I love the condoms. The kind of scene where they have Paul Rudd, and he's like, I had 9 of my 14 illegitimate children using these bad boys. Like, isn't that the point of it? So, super good, yeah.
And then, like, the scene in Anchorman that always gets me, 60% of the time.
It works 100% every time. Yeah.
That doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, it's super good.
It's just like, and like, this is kind of like a thing with, like, Step Brothers, too. It's stupid comedy, but it works.
I know. Have you seen the bloopers to those movies?
I have not.
I'd argue probably 50% of the movies aren't written
as
a script. It's just improv. Yeah. Like the scene where they're coming up with stories to do, and he's like, what if we let 2 loose chickens into the studio and then let a tiger in, and we just watch the match? Like, that's all improv. Like
that is?
Yeah, they did like 14 different ideas or something like that, and they just kept some of them. You know, yeah, they just try it out. Like the condom stuff, like 1 or 2 of them, some of it is written, but a lot of it they're just trying things out and seeing what sticks.
See, when I think of improv, the first thing that comes to my mind is like have you ever seen the movie The Breakfast Club?
Yes.
So did you know that all their reasons for why they got detention was completely ad-libbed? Because that was oh my God, who directed that movie?
I don't know.
But like, it was a trait of his to like improv most of the scenes. And what makes it so funny is when Emilio Estevez, his reason, taped Larry Lester's butt cheeks together, the fact that was ad-libbed makes it like 10 times more funny because he just came up with that on the spot.
I know. Like, how do you even come up with that kind of stuff? Which
is why like it's funny that you're going to have Adam on because it's like he knows everything about improv and just coming up with stuff on the fly. Mm-hmm. That's what's so funny.
I'll say because I was in improv for 4 years, but like I could not come up with anything as funny as the stuff that the people in Anchorman are coming up with. It's just
I feel like you have to be like it's also like what Chris Farley did.
Just really like into his character and like
even like Matt Foley, like when he did Matt Foley, like just like he's like alrighty, yeah. And then like when he falls on the table, which none of the actors knew like at the time, like because like, if you look in the video when he falls on the table, all of them are like, oh God, like they didn't know the table was supposed to break.
Oh, there's another big one that I hear legend of Guardians of the Galaxy, the dance-off scene at the end. Ooh. That was improv.
Really?
Like that wasn't in the script. It was just like time to dance, and then he like did it as a joke for them. They're like, this is kind of funny because he's like stall. I think like written into like he's gonna stall, and then they had no idea how. And then the dance, one of the most iconic scenes was like the dance off, and then they just kept it in there because it was funny.
I mean, hey, it worked.
I know. Yeah. What are some other movies that come to your mind when you want to just talk about just fantastic movies?
Oh my gosh. Man, that is actually like really tough because it's like I really like don't know like how exactly like to like try to like pick one because like every movie that I watch is like really good, but like if I were to pick another one, it's not really per se like a movie, but like I'm into comedy specials. Like I could watch like the biggest one that I watch is Fluffy, Gabriel Iglesias.
Yep.
And his new one from Dodger Stadium was just perfect because like in it he like talks about like he says like I don't know where I'm gonna go from here because it's like I've like kind of fulfilled my dream. And like in it he mentions like people ask me what's the greatest moment of my career and everybody starts cheering. He's like, oh guys, don't get sidetracked. This isn't the greatest moment of my career. This is the greatest moment of my life. And if I were to die tomorrow, I would have done everything I wanted to do. But it's just like, and even like besides that, the comedy in his like comedy specials is just great because he's not one of those comedians who writes jokes. He tells stories that have comedy in them.
Yep.
And that's what I appreciate the most about Fluffy.
Yeah, and I think I watched Fluffy probably when it came out, like 10 years ago.
Oh god,
however
he's been
long.
on for so long.
And I've always thought he was funny. I think now when I watch him, I think there are some aspects where I'm just not as interested. I think if I'm not instantly hooked on the story, it's more difficult for me to like really get into it.
Yeah.
And so like you have to make sure that you have a good story. I think the comedy that I normally like is like punchline-y, like creative comedy, whereas opposed to like funny stories they all have their own value.
So do you have a favorite like comedian then?
Yeah, I'd say I really like Bo Burnham's style of comedy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Finally. I've been waiting for somebody. I've been trying to find somebody who likes Bo Burnham as much as I do.
Dude, yeah.
Have you seen his like TV show that he did on MTV?
The Zach Stone is going to be famous. Yes, I binged that whole thing with some buddies.
Dude, oh my god! It was like a couple months ago. I think it was like back last summer that my siblings and I just sat down and watched it. We couldn't even get through the first episode. We were just dying.
It's a hard watch, like cringe-wise, but it's
so
good.
cringe. But at the same time, it's just great.
I've really enjoyed it. I think it was cool to see the success of like shows like The Office and some of the things that you could tell it's taking inspiration from, but to know that Bo Burnham wrote this and is like this is his crack at it. You know what I mean?
It's in the first episode. The first episode always gets me because it's the funeral and his grandma's like African American. She's like, "You never lose. You always win. We loved your frail hair and we loved your pale skin." That doesn't work. It's little jokes like that get me. And then like when he dresses up as his grandma and walks down, he's like, "It's me. Come say your goodbyes." And then his dad's just adoring him. Dad, I can't leave. I mean, really, I can't. My dress is caught.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's such this good comedy of like you think these people don't exist, and then you find out that they do.
Yeah,
and it's written so well to make you just go.
Yes.
Yeah, I really like his comedy specials. Make Happy is fantastic.
Oh my god, it's my favorite moment. Okay, I hate to like kind of like derive it, but like my favorite moment from that simply is like when he just when somebody says "I love you," he's like, "No, you fucking don't.
Stop participating.
Stop participating." That or when he's doing the joke about our favorite chips are salt and vi.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's like, it's like everyone find him after the show.
Kick their asses.
Yeah, because when I did stand up at the MU for like an open mic night, I like really did a lot of stuff that people could probably equate to like Bo Burnham style, of like quick, like diversion of expectation, like move on type humor. You know what I mean? And I really do like that style of. You could tell he sat down and wrote
just everything out.
And wrote that down, and he's like, "This is funny because." Like, my favorite example is, like, my dad thinks that I'm a little too flamboyant on stage, and then he's like, I can't remember what the punchline is, but he has confetti in his pocket, and he grabs it, he's like, well, no way, and then, like, flicks it, and it flies in the air, and it's just, it's so, like, it's so funny. Or, like, this show is too comedically timed, and then he does this, and then there's a boing sound effect, and it's just, like, right on the cue. It's so good.
I remember from his special, I think that's what it was called. Mm-hmm. He did a joke about video editors, and then like just after that, there's a cut to like a random part of the show. But like you wouldn't get that if you were at his like live show. You only get it if you're on like. If you're actually
on the
It's just so funny.
He goes above and beyond, and I wasn't a huge fan comedically of Inside. If you've seen his new special,
I just feel like because like there wasn't an audience, so like there was like really like nothing to kind of like. I mean, like don't get me wrong, the music was still great,
The music's good.
but it was just like there wasn't really like much there to like make you laugh.
Yeah, I have a pretty hot take on Inside because I don't like it because despite it being the truth, I feel like it capitalizes on kind of the low-hanging fruit of just like depression in general, but of like COVID-caused depression.
Yeah.
And I think that when you have like an entire album and have an entire, show dedicated to this, and the music, you can tell, especially compared to his other stuff, you can tell it's designed to be catchy and it's designed to win an award and to be shared. You know what I mean? And it just seems cruel to like have this show capitalizing on this feeling, on this like mass depression on such like a not really deep level, and then also have the music be really conveniently catchy and like TikTok sounds and like winning awards for it. It just, to me, compared to what he used to do, it seemed kind of malicious.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Especially since he didn't live like that. He lived with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
That shed was away from his place. Like,
well, it was funny because like for the longest time, my sister and I were like, was that like his like actual house? And I'm like, it can't be. It's too small.
yeah,
Especially like what he's done and like the money that he's made. Like there's no way that he lives in like a house that small.
that tiny. Yeah. And, I get the symbolism of what it's supposed to be. But again, for me personally, it feels like low-hanging fruit. And
I mean, it can feel like that a few times, yeah. But like at the same time, it's like, yeah.
I understand
like
the
that.
feelings and emotions, and it is like that. But I think the reason why I think that is because he doesn't offer a solution. He doesn't offer a positive note, and he doesn't offer like an end to the journey, which again, I know is symbolically the point. But if you have this platform to share like feelings and like you have this platform to share, emotions, I would love to see him share something more usable to people.
Definitely.
Something with like a message like The Whale, super sad movie, but it has a message that people can grapple onto and use.
Exactly.
This message is that it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It doesn't have an ending point.
Yeah.
It's going to suck.
Right.
And that's that's a harder message for me to be like, yeah, go Bo for
Go, Bo, do it.
yeah, you can do it, man. I'm trying to think of other movies. Have you seen Baby Driver?
I have not.
Okay, well, I won't get into that. Anchorman 2 is one of my favorites. Deadpool, the first Deadpool, is a guilty pleasure of mine. Really love that movie.
I actually never saw that.
Wow, dude.
I know. Hot take. I know. Hot take.
It's so good. It's so surprisingly good. I think you'll really like it.
I mean, I bet I would, but like, I just like. Here's the thing about Ryan Reynolds. Like, I kind of lost interest after Van Wilder, his movie National Lampoon's Van Wilder. It's basically just him like going through college, but it wasn't that good.
I haven't seen it.
And that was a movie that I was supposed to watch for the other podcast that I was on. That Jared Goes to the Movies podcast. I was supposed to watch it for that. I just got so bored of it.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. How did you get a part of that? Because that's insane.
So basically, have you ever heard the site Patreon?
Uh-huh.
So Jared Goes to the Movies is ran by Jarrett Reddick of Bowling for Soup, and then his friend Eric is kind of like a co-host, and then he has his tech guy Sean and his wife Casey, who kind of like butts in like from time to time. So they trying to find the right words.
No, dude.
So they had a Patreon, and at the time I was living at home, so like I actually could save up on some money.
Mm-hmm.
So for $50, you can get you get to be on the show and do like a question thing, like called 5 questions, which you like play against like another person. You also get you get to like send you can have Jarrett send you like a few like personalized videos to like family members. Like you get like your name mentioned during the show. You get like free merch and stuff like that. But I mainly did it just to be on the show to like talk to Jarrett because he's been one of my favorite artists for like the longest time.
How many times were you on the show? Because I heard I listened to the Napoleon Dynamite one.
Did you?
Yeah. Congratulations on winning, by the way.
I can get more into that in just a second.
So I listened to the Napoleon Dynamite episode, and they had said that. I don't know if it was a joke. It kind of sounded sarcastic, but they said that you had been on like 29 episodes or something. You know what I mean? And
funny enough, so the first time I was on, that was my first win. My first episode was my first win. I went literally 25 games without winning. Yeah. And there were times I would like not even get one question right.
I know those questions were hard.
See, okay, but like that's the thing about him is like he comes up with stuff. Jarrett comes up with stuff like all in his head. So like the questions that you heard in the Napoleon Dynamite episode, like how much is Napoleon getting paid? Like that's stuff that you have to like be like, you have to pay deep attention.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing they let you do is that you can take notes. And then beforehand, I would study them to like, oh, this.
Yeah.
So then that's where the last question came into play about there's 9 food items, give me 6. So like I remembered like studying that. And funny enough, like I had my notes in front of me, which they can't see that. So basically what I did was I just kind of read off from my notes. And then like the second that I screamed like, oh, it's this, everybody was like,
I could not believe my ears, dude. I was like,
well, it was like, because like, keep in mind, I had gone like multiple games without even winning. So like, that was a rare occasion to like actually see me win. And what makes it fitting was that their podcast is now done because they're like, they all got like busy with their personal lives. So it's fitting to know that my first and last like appearances on that show were wins.
dude, yeah, let's say you have a sandwich with win bread.
So I got a win here, a win there, and all the other fun in between.
Dude, yeah, I didn't know that was a Patreon thing because just for some reason I thought that they were just like, hey, here's my buddy Vinny. I wanted him to be on the show, you know, because it seemed like they were pretty casual with you.
Well, yeah, because I had been on like so many times, so it was at the point where it's just like they know me now pretty well.
Did you have to pay for every episode that you were on?
Not every episode, every month.
Oh, okay.
So I could be on like twice a month and still have to, and just pay $50.
Yeah, dude, that's so cool. How many people listen to that podcast? Do you know?
Oh man,
you can't get numbers on Spotify like that. I looked at their Bowling for Soup, which has millions of listeners.
They have a lot of listeners, but like for the podcast, because like it's just Jarrett. I would think they probably get about like 1,000 listeners a month, which is not that
good.
bad.
It's really, I'd love 1,000 listeners a month. I'd say, hey, if any of my listeners come from the Bowling for Soup, the Jared Goes to the Movies, then
well, when
that's
this
a
thing
dub
comes
for me.
out, I'm in their fan page, so like I will 100% be like putting this clip. I will clip this, put it in there, and be like, listen to this, where we discuss about Jared Goes to the Movies for about 10 minutes.
I was saying, dude, that's so cool. I had heard it, and then I did some, like studying on like, what is this podcast and what was the process, and I just could not believe that like I was hearing you on this, and it was something that you just didn't mention, like. Until we had that meeting, like it wasn't on your pod. That's just, I don't know. That's such an obscure thing to be a part of too. So, I mean, did you feel like you learned a bunch of just obscure movie trivia?
Well, it's just weird because like the biggest thing that I remember was that like there were movies that they did that I didn't even know existed. Like there's like stuff that like Ben Affleck did. There's stuff that like Matthew McConaughey did. I'm like, wait, they did this movie? It's just like stuff that like you would never know like actually existed. Unless you're a movie podcast like them.
I was say, yeah, so this is like spreading your knowledge of, movie knowledge for doing this. It's basically a class. Yeah, I don't know. That was crazy. It was fun. It was cool to hear your excitement on it too. But
it was funny because the biggest thing was that I mentioned that I have a love for Slipknot. So when I won, the guy who like does like the editing and stuff, he edited in the opening to the song Duality by Slipknot, where it's just like an instrumental opening. Like to like kind of like celebrate my win, which I found like the funniest thing.
That's so awesome. They know you. I say you're basically a friend of the Bowling for Soup. Do you think that Jarrett just like knows of you now? Like
absolutely.
Like you're just a character in his life because of.
I mean, we're friends on Facebook, so I mean, like that's
dude.
The fact that like okay, and like other like he has like a ton of other stuff. He does stuff with the lead singer for the band the Dolly Rots, which is another punk band. He has his own country album now, even though he's a punk rocker. He does like his own country stuff, which is amazing. But like, it's just cool that like I've established a friendship with him, even though like I've only met him once in real life, but I didn't know him well at the time. But now, I feel like if I met him now, he 100% would be like, "Oh my God, it's you!"
Yeah, dude, that's so cool.
It's you, the worst
like
player.
A lot. Yeah, I was gonna say you kind of were drowning during that episode. The very end did pretty well for you though.
Yeah,
that's so funny, but. It's like you have like a live autograph. You know what I mean? Like you have a friendship with him that is, it could be considered an ongoing autograph of just like he knows you. I mean, it doesn't get better than that.
I mean, yeah, it's just like it, and it's like you always like it's like you want to like be like that kind of person, like kind of like gets to know them, like gets to like know like famous people, and like I'm lucky enough to call Jarrett Reddick a friend. Yeah, even though like I've only met him once.
And that's probably the kind of stuff that they want too. You know what I mean? Like they want to have that relationship with their fans, you know, to know who they are and not just like screaming and like, let me get your autograph of like, hey, I'm a dude that just like loves your music. You know, that's probably means so much more to them than what they normally get.
Yeah.
And so, dude, that's awesome. Any more you want to touch up on that? I mean, what is that experience like? What is it? I mean,
it was just kind of fun because like, not just being like making a friendship with Jarrett Reddick, but just other people on the podcast. Like I met so many, like not really met, but like just virtually. I'd met so many people who like I never thought I would like meet in my life, but I am so glad that they are like, and like there's people on the podcast like Woody Chambers, John Gickler, Wendy Croft, just people like on there that like have made an impact in my life, even if they don't know it. Like meeting them and the kind words that they have to me, like there's been times where I've been down like kind of mentally, and there's also like another like support group that is like kind of like sponsored by Bowling for Soup. And there's people in there like who are also part of the podcast. Like, don't give up. You're like an essential part to this podcast, like to like the podcast and your life. Like the times you've been on have been the best. Don't give up. It's just stuff like that that like makes me feel like warm inside.
dude, it's just so extraordinary. I mean, like you don't hear about that kind of stuff. So, I mean, walk me through the process of recording. So it's like Zoom or like some sort of like call-in radio.
What was the thing that we had it on? It's oh my god, it's tough to figure out right now, but I think it was called like StreamYard or something like that, or it wasn't Streamlabs because that's the OBS stuff. But we did it first on Skype. It was a Skype call.
Wow.
Yeah, and then they did it to like this whole new thing, but I forgot what the name of it was. But basically, yeah. So like the whole thing was that before the podcast even like they would record live, like so they would do like on YouTube.
Yeah, and so they'd have like an audience kind of in their
kind of like a virtual
chat,
audience.
Yeah.
So like, but beforehand they would record 5 questions. So and then like if you like that's why like it's recorded first, but then it's played in the middle.
Okay, yeah. So that like YouTube, the chat can't help you or like participate in it. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Wait, so then, what were like? Did you have conversations before and after recordings like with them? Maybe on Zoom, like were there like lag times or periods where there was a little bit of chatting?
Yeah. So like beforehand, the biggest thing that we would do was that like we'd all get in, they'd be talking with each other for a while, and then they'd be like, hey, Vinny, what's up? And I'd be like, what's up? So, like, it was like stuff like that it was like we could just have like a few, like, 5-minute conversation. Like, he'd be like, how's your day been? How's life? What's new? Like, saw your latest drum cover or stuff like that.
Dude, it's literally getting your drum covers viewed by, like, I couldn't think of a comparison.
And he's viewed a lot of my drum covers. So, I mean, like, to be able to like have like a famous person like that see like my drumming, and he's even mentioned before like the next time that Bowling for Soup comes near Iowa, you're getting on stage and playing a song with us. So like I'm gonna have the opportunity to play with one of my favorite bands.
Dude, you're living so many people's dreams. You have no idea. Like what I'd give to play guitar for like Ricky Montgomery or something would like be so awesome.
Ricky Montgomery.
You know what I mean? Like that would be the coolest thing. Or to sing a song. Oh,
look, I'm no Sam Petrie, but damn,
dude, yeah, dude, no, that's still so cool. I mean, I'm meeting pseudo famous people on this podcast, which is exactly what I wanted to be the case.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I wanted to talk to the people like you, like Sam, like the presidents of these clubs. Like these are the people that have lived things that, you know, I would dream about, you know what I mean? And it's just cool to vicariously live through these experiences. And, you know, if I meet somebody that I get to pawn you off to, like my buddy Adam, who I mentioned earlier, like he's going to love this episode because he does drum covers. He's a drummer. Like you kind of remind me of him a little bit, honestly, but he does drum covers and he's a huge Metallica fan. He's in their top.
I could go in depth about my friend in high school. So like I was friends with this kid named James, and at the time I hadn't really known him that well. Like it was freshman year and I'm trying to like kind of get like trying to figure out who I'm going to be friends with. And I mentioned to him Metallica. And this is kind of tough, but it might have been a wrong move.
Why?
Because
Did he just go nuts on it?
I ended up finding out that he is ADHD and borderline autism. So
Does he like fixate on?
yes, and like it was like I have no disrespect to the kid. I love him. He's a great friend. He's an awesome kid. It just came to the point where I'm like, James, this Metallica thing is kind of getting a little out of hand. But like at the same time, it was like I felt like his like fixation, because like I've been in that kind of situation before.
We just go way too in on.
Yeah.
I have a buddy like that with Star Wars. Yeah.
But it was like just one of those things. I got him into Metallica, and then like that's just like that's how our like friendship started. Like he bonded over Metallica with me, and and he got lucky to see Metallica at Iowa Speedway in 2017, I think.
I literally just had a conversation with Adam about this like a couple of days ago.
And it was the funniest thing because he went, and I was supposed to go with him, but wouldn't you know it, that's 2 days before we were supposed to go on our cruise. So I had to fly down to Florida that day.
No, I would just skip that.
I would have too, but like it was a gift from our grandparents. And
yeah.
I was mad. I was mad.
I mean, I'll admit I'm not a Metallica fan, and that's only because I think Avenged Sevenfold does what Metallica does, but better. And Metallica's famous because they did it first.
That is a really hot take.
Yes.
And I got no disrespect to Avenged Sevenfold. I give you credit. They are good.
They are really. I'm not a metal fan. You know what I mean? Like I like normally lighter stuff.
Like what?
Like Ricky Montgomery. I love. My genres are white girl alternative, famous '80s yacht rock, and
yacht rock.
Yeah. So like Toto, Chicago.
Okay, so
Christopher Cross.
I can understand where you're coming from.
And then comedy music, Tenacious D, and then just Sex Party, Bo Burnham, the whole 9 yards. But I'm a huge music guy, and I think Metallica. I think why I like Avenged Sevenfold is because they just add more intricacy to the music. So they'll have like layers, they'll have harmonies, they'll have multiple guitars doing alternating rhythms. They'll have I won't say crazier drums, but it feels like drums that are more pleasant to listen to in general.
Yeah, well, I feel like the problem with Lars's drumming is that like it's too simplistic.
For Metallica?
Yeah, I mean, like if you listen to like his stuff, like on like the early stuff, it's just really simple drumming, and the fact he doesn't use a ride cymbal, that's another thing that really bugs me.
Well, I've said this. "Purify" by Metallica, if you've heard it, is probably the worst song in the whole world.
I hope my buddy's not going to listen to this.
Yeah. So that's my hot take, and I think maybe that influences why I like Avenged Sevenfold more than Metallica. But I like "When a Blind Man Cries." I think that's a good song. Some of the more famous songs like "Enter Sandman,"
One,
like those
From the Bell Tolls.
Yeah, like those are like I see why they get the appreciation that they do.
Yeah.
But I think like "Victim of the Night" by Avenged Sevenfold is better than all of Metallica's catalog that I've heard so far.
Have you listened to Greta Van Fleet before?
No.
Okay, you're so I can go kind of in the depth with that. So the biggest thing with Greta Van Fleet is that they were compared, like when they first started, they were compared so much to Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
And in a sense, you could kind of hear it. But at the same time, it was a different sound. And like people kept making that comparison over and over again until it got to their newest album, The Battle of Gardens Gate, where you could just tell it was a different like style.
They were just trying something different.
And it was kind of like, it was really interesting to see like what came about with that album, because it's like there's more organ, there's more like piano playing, like there's like small like little like instrumental parts, and like you didn't really get that with their before albums. And like there's a girl in sub, Allison, like she can like back me up on this. Like she's also a really big Greta Van Fleet fan. So like every time I see her, we just kind of like talk over that.
Yeah, well, that's because is that what I want to talk about your drumming?
Yeah,
and more specifically like the performances that you've done, because I've seen like a sea of people and then you on stage drumming, like a Green Day cover band.
Yeah.
So what is that about? Tell me that journey.
So that is, the Green Day tribute is a band called American Dookie. They are based in Des Moines, and they're like really good friends of mine. So their name comes from the American Idiot album and the Dookie
album. Yeah.
Kind of put it together.
Yeah.
So I've known them like pretty well for like a couple years now. So my biggest thing was in 2021, like I was like, you know, I feel like, because my drumming career kind of started with COVID. So it was around the time that I got my first drum set, which was an electric set, like, and like I had gotten it in February, like way before COVID hit. And then once COVID hit, I was like, well, what the hell am I going to do now? So it was like one of those things where it's like, well, I got my drum set here, might as well just kind of record myself playing and see how it goes. The second that I put out a cover of For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica, the second I put it out, it got like hundreds of likes on Facebook.
Wow.
So like, and it was at that point where I'm like, maybe there might be something here. So then it kind of went from like playing covers like that to like doing like more like fast paced stuff. Like I did some Bowling for Soup covers. I did some like other like punk band covers. It's stuff like that. And then it got to the point where like I had started talking with them about like, what would the chances of me playing like on stage with you guys be? And they're like, we're going to make it happen. So then it came to that time, August, I think it was like 12th or something like that of 2021, where they were like, you're getting up on stage tonight. We're going to let you play. And you could just see kind of like in my video of that, like I'm tense because it's like, I don't know what to do, but like, it's just funny because like my sister, who's also a musician, I'm always like, you need to go to open mic night and like sing. She's like, I don't want to because I get so stage fright. I'm like, I thought I would get that too. But the second the music that you start playing, it all goes away. Cause like at the time at that show that I played at, there was like maybe like 20 people there. The second I started playing, it just felt like I was playing back at my, like in my basement.
Yep. Just the practice.
And then I played with them a few other times on stage, but then it got to the point where in December, they were playing a show with a Weezer tribute and a Nirvana tribute. So, like, it was at that point, and my parents were even going to go. So it was at that point where I'm like, maybe I could see if I can, like, sneak in a little bit and maybe play in front of my parents. So I was talking with their lead singer and the drummer, and I'm like, what are the chances of me playing? And he's like, we'll see about it. So then literally, like, once the Weezer band is playing first, sorry, my friend who's in the band comes over and is like, all right, listen, he pulls me aside. He's like, we're going to let you play. So you're going to play when I come around. So what you're going to do is this. During this song, you're going to run up to the middle. And then after it's over, we're going to say that my hand hurts. We need a replacement. Is there anybody who can fill in? So funny thing, there's so many, you saw in the video, there's so many people there. I could not get into the middle without like being like, move. I got to get in. So I'm over I literally had to stand over on the side. Like by like, I don't know if have you ever been to Woolies? So at Woolies, it's like, so picture this is the stage. Here's the stage. This is the pit area. This is a bar. And over here are like booths. So I'm over by the booths, like trying to like wave them down. And they're looking out, and unbeknownst to me, there's this guy in the front row who is screaming at my friend, like, because my friend's like, hey, our guy's injured. Anybody know how to play? And he was telling me, like, there's a guy in front who literally was, like, screaming to play. Yeah. And then he said, like, it would have been, like, 5 more seconds, I would have called him up, and then I found you. So the second he found me, he's like, that guy? All right, let's get him up here. And my parents had no idea. So literally, like, in the video, you can hear, like, my sister is screaming because she's like, oh, my God, that's amazing. And it was just one of those things because, like, I saw the sea of people out there, and I'm like, oh, boy.
Dude, you're encountering a story from a movie. Like, this is the big climax where, like, you're walking up, everything's in slow motion, and you're looking, you can see all, like, the fans waving at you. I mean, that is nuts.
But it was at the point, though, where it's like, the guitar intro just starts playing, and at that moment, it's just like, you know what? I'm back in my basement, and that's it. And then, like, we start playing, and
you did really good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things where it's just like, it's just muscle memory. Mm-hmm. So, like, it was like, I had played this so many times that I just knew how to do it.
Dude, that's so crazy.
And, like, the second that I walked off and went through the curtain to, like, from behind the stage to go to the front, there's my mom just waiting for me. She pulls me into the biggest hug, and she's like, you did so good. I'm like, thanks.
Dude, it's awesome that you have a ton of supportive parents, too, that...
They are very supportive, and they have even, like, mentioned, like, a few times, like, are you ever going to get into band? I'm like, let me get through school first, and then we'll figure it out. Because I know Sam Petrie is already in his band, and it's, like, good for him to, like, balance school and the band. And his band is amazing. I don't know if you've ever seen them play before.
I haven't seen them, but I've listened to them on
They
Spotify.
played back in October at the M Shop with a few of my friends in the band called Display Case. So, and even then they were amazing. And Display Case too. So those guys actually went to my school, even though they graduated like way before me. Like I graduated high school in 2019. They all graduated in like 2020.
What school is this that's just sending out these prodigies?
Dowling Catholic High School in West Des Moines.
Oh, okay. So it's a Des Moines school. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, Sam's band kills it. And I need to try to find, because I know they're actually going to be, I think it's, is it this week? I think it's this week they're going to be at the A-Hole in somewhere like in Ames that I know a buddy who hosts.
It's slightly off the whatever main street where like Come and Go and Insomnia. And
yeah.
I was going to go to one of their shows, but it got canceled because the dude's cat died or something. It's just kind of funny to walk up there and be like, sorry, we can't do it. Someone's cat died. It's like, oh. Okay.
I mean, like, in a sense like that, it's like, you know, like, you can understand.
Oh, yeah. It's just, you don't hear that the excuse very often. I think is what more the shock was.
Yeah.
But, dude, that's awesome. So, were you in band in high school? I mean, did you play drums for...
You know, believe it or not, I actually was not a drummer. I was in band from 5th and 6th grade, and after 6th grade, I quit. I was actually a trumpet player.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
It was funny because, like, I actually wanted to play the trombone.
Yeah, you seem more like a trombone person.
See? And my dad was always like, you know, you're not going to play trombone. I have a trumpet, just play that. And I'm like, I want to be a freaking trombone player. Mm-hmm. It's like, we have a trumpet here. I'm not going to go out and buy a trombone for you to, like, use it for, like, a little bit and not even use it again.
Yeah.
I mean, but even still, though, like, I enjoyed the trumpet, but it was just, number one, you had to be up at, so my old school is called Sacred Heart. It was in West Des Moines, like kind of near Dowling. We had to be at school for band practice at 6 a.m. 6 a.m. And then school would not start till 7:30.
Yeah.
I was like, no way this is going to happen.
Yeah, that's how our jazz band was. It would be like before school practice.
And then like in 6th grade, we would have seminar. So basically that was like your study time. Mm-hmm. When do you think band practice was?
During study time?
Yes.
Dang, man.
So like if I did not get stuff done, like homework at home, and I had to do it like during seminar, I couldn't. I had to get lates.
Dude, yeah, I don't. It's weird though that you started doing this, and then so quickly you were like on stage. You know, I mean that's just I think it's so different from what most people's band and drumming experiences are.
Because people will say like, oh, I played for like 5 years and then I got a band on stage. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, no, I actually played for like a year and I played on stage in front of like 6 people.
So then how did you get to know these guys? I mean,
so it kind of started, I actually was looking around like, because I first saw this band in 2020, like middle 2020 when like COVID was still happening. So I was looking around like, what shows are out there that I could go see? And the first one that popped up was this Foo Fighters tribute with special guest Green Day tribute. So I was like, well, there it is.
Sounds like me.
Yeah. So, so it was actually in Cedar Rapids at the time. So I had to drive like about 2 hours, but I didn't care. Unbeknownst to me, there's a rainstorm coming the time I was going. So it halted the start time for the show. So in that time, I actually got to know the members of that Green Day tribute like more. And it was at that time. God, I'm a communication major.
Dude, I'm a communication major. All the time.
I'm a communication major, and I'm flubbing up words.
Dude, everyone does it. It's all good.
It was at the time that it was at that point where I was like, you know what? Maybe there's something here that we can like form a friendship. So I talked with their drummer, who I'm actually still friends with now. I was like, hey, I see you guys are playing a show downtown Des Moines at Woolies. I know somebody who works there that can do a lot of advertisement for that show. And he's like, dude, if you do that, that'd be great. So I did some advertisement and ending up the show being canceled. Because around the time that Kim Reynolds was like, we're going to close down bars at 10 o'clock because that's when COVID can't hit. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was like the funniest thing. Like COVID can hit you from beginning of the day till 9:59, but after 10 or like can't hit you at all. But after 10 p.m.,
That's when the bugs are
You're
out.
screwed.
Yeah.
But I ended up just having chit chats with them and stuff, like texting back and forth. And then in March of 2021, they had their other show at Woolies. And I was like, you know, it was at the point where I'm like, hey, I can help you guys move your stuff in and stuff.
Did you advertise for them again on that other show?
I advertised for them like hectic. Like I'll put like stuff out like only 3 days away, only 2 days away, tomorrow, tonight. It's like I would put it out there to like get the word out. And lately they would have great turnouts at their shows.
Sorry, I thought I heard someone knocking on the glass. That was weird. Anyway, so they've had good turnouts on the shows. And is that your fault because of the plugging or?
It might be.
I don't know. I say, dude. I mean, it's so awesome how far a connection like that can go.
Oh yeah.
Like just knowing somebody and showing genuine interest. It's right back to the autograph thing where it's like the difference between getting someone's autograph for the autograph and getting someone's autograph because you like care about them.
For like the passion of it.
Yeah, and the same thing with you being on the Bowling for Zoo Patreon. I mean, like building that relationship with these people. I mean, it'll get you so crazy far in a world like this. I mean, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. There's one thing I also do want to touch on. I'm sorry, like if I'm going off the thing.
No, I have had it, man.
The lost media thing that I mentioned to you. So like, do you know what lost media is?
I know the concept,
yeah.
but I haven't heard many good examples of it.
So like, there's one instance of the one that I know, like I'm familiar with. You remember Steve Irwin? So his death was actually recorded because he had a rule. He had a rule with his team that if anything goes dire, never stop recording because it could be used as educational purposes. So the camera crew was shooting as like people were trying to perform CPR after a stingray attack, and like they had recorded everything till the like up to like the moment that he had passed, and people believe that the video is still out there, but it was reported that the video was actually handed over to Steve Irwin's family, who destroyed the tape. But people are still saying that can't be true. There's got to be more tapes out there.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that. People are like dedicated to like the search.
Yeah, to finding stuff like that.
And then like there's like instance of there's this event in 1999 called Slamfest 99, which is basically like it was like Super Smash Bros at the time. So, but it was actually live streamed in 1999.
Yes, and they had all of the it was them all dressed up as the characters wrestling.
Yes.
And the pictures just came out about that. I'm a big Smash fan, so I saw that.
So like there's like hundreds and hundreds of photos out there, but nothing like relating to like the video. And people like are still like dedicated to find this thing has been going on literally for like 5 years at this point.
Yeah.
Like it just is amazing that how dedicated people are to finding this like lost media stuff.
So do you just follow this or do you participate in this?
I'm mainly just like a follower. Like there'll be times like in class and like if we're like kind of like doing just like some like random stuff, then I'll just like pull up like just like examples of like lost media. Like I'm big into like lost music. Like speaking of the Green Day, there's an entire Green Day album that was recorded, but actually the tapes got stolen. This is an album that they had made. This is between, I believe, Warning and American Idiot. It was going to be called Cigarettes and Valentines. So they recorded, I think, like all the tracks, and like one day they all got stolen. And like only 5 are like.
So somebody has like the hidden Green Day album.
Somebody might have it just in their possession, but like at the same time, it's like, who knows?
Dude, imagine stealing something just to like bop it in your car. Like this is just for me. Like no sleeping easy at night, knowing you're the only person who has ever heard these Green Day songs.
And like, there's probably people out there who like own like a piece of like this like lost media, and at the same time, it's like, oh, I own this piece. I'm not going to release it because of like, it's like rarity. Like I don't want to release it because then it won't become rare anymore.
Yeah.
And then like, there's this YouTuber called Blame It on George who like, if you watch his channel, he's got everything like lost media related. Like he's got a full, like, you remember those like when like the iceberg trends came out? It was like the top of, okay, so like basically like the top of the iceberg is
like the picture and then
the picture, and then like it goes down
yes,
each one. So like his was, he did one on all lost media stuff, which like he details like if no examples, like there's SpongeBob deleted scenes, there's Owen Hart when he fell from like the rafters and his death is actually out there somewhere on tape. There's like man, there's like just so many known examples. And then he did one on lost game shows. So like, and believe it or not, there's actually quite a lot of like lost game show stuff out there. And like the majority of it was from Nickelodeon. Because you remember like, what year were you born then?
2002.
Okay, so like, I was born in 2000, so I grew up with like Double Dare, Legends of the Hidden Temple, stuff like that. Like, they had so much stuff planned in the early 90s and like 2000s of just like game shows that like never went through. And it's just so weird to see like what happened to all of them.
I know, and it's kind of it's a weird thing to be interested, especially when it involves death, to where it's like, I know this exists and I want to see it.
It's just one of those things where it's just like your curiosity is getting the better of you, where it's like, you know, like, oh, I know it might be death, but like I want to see what happened to it.
Well, I mean, it's the modern day treasure hunting. You know what I mean?
It does feel like that. Like, it does feel like it's like a treasure hunt now.
Well, it's weird because especially when it's almost like a conspiracy theory. You know what I mean? But not in like the negative connotation, but it's just like we think or know these exist, but we don't know where. And it's like, we can't prove that it does, but you know, we're going to keep trying to find it. It's like the hunt is on.
It literally is just like a giant like treasure hunt to like, you like try to like piece like everything like together, but then like you get to like the dead end where it's like, there's like one like the Columbine like basement, it's called the Basement Tapes. It was made by Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold. Like, they made like 5 tapes before like they went like, they did like their thing.
Yeah.
And like, people had believed that all the tapes were out there, but only 2 became available. And it wasn't until 2016 when somebody tried to like get like requests to like see the tapes, but the Jefferson County Police said like all of them have been destroyed. We got nothing left. And then like a day later, like a spokesperson came out and said, "Yep, they're all gone. We have nothing."
But that's probably not true. Like, are you saying that the other ones
I mean, like,
but
it's just like, it's a reputable source because they were in possession of the tapes, and with them saying, "Oh, they've been destroyed," and even like the family member said, "We're fine with them being like destroyed." It's just kind of tough to figure out because it's like, who knows? It's like, they could be out there, they might be destroyed, but like that's just the thing. Like, nobody knows, and that's just what's the crazy thing about lost media is like, you just don't know if stuff is still out there or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different way of history. You know what I mean? It's like, if you think, because I had a history guy on there where we were talking about how important it is to preserve like books and you know, old history, but like the internet is now our history, and you have this idea of once it's out there, it's there forever. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that it's easy to find.
Yeah, because like there was a moment that I remember, like, you remember the show Drake and Josh?
Oh yeah.
So, believe it or not, there was actually a pilot created in 2002, and it was only like, there's only like a few clips like out there, and like in 2003, to promote like the 20th anniversary, like Dan Schneider like released like a ton of like clips and pictures, and everybody's like, where is this thing? But it wasn't until like 2018, I think, that somebody found he had like an entire clip of like the pilot, but it was privated. And that was the only way people can actually see it. And with it being privated, like, people were scourging the internet for like a trace
to find
of it.
This episode.
Yeah. So then like it came to that point where it was like in 2018, like somebody like messaged like an intern for Nickelodeon who had the privated video, and he sent it to him, and clips of it now have been found. Because originally Josh's dad was not Jonathan Goldstein. It was a different guy. Like,
and so, I mean, it's the Drake and Josh lore that you just don't expect to be interested in, but the fact that it doesn't exist, and that's why I don't know, it's awesome to watch like the YouTube documentaries of like talking about the discovery of this stuff. And like, I know what you're talking about, and I've seen this kind of stuff, but I've never like, you know, dive into it.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's just kind of like a hobby that I find interesting, and like maybe one day I might get involved with like a search. Who knows?
Yeah, that would be so cool. That'd be so cool. We're running on about an hour and a half, so I think I'm gonna kick you off. But this is awesome, man. Do you have any last plugins, like Instagrams, any your YouTube channel if you do the drum covers on YouTube? Like,
I just mainly do them on Instagram. You can follow my Instagram, VinmanDrums22. It's just all one word. Give a shout out to my mom, my dad, Cassie, Anthony, my family. Thank you guys for creating me into the man I am today.
Dude, well, that's so sweet. That's so awesome. But it was awesome having you on, Vinny.
It was
really
awesome
great.
being here, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.